Morning, everyone. Thank you. That was beautiful, Carol. As you see, things are a little different up here this morning. Brian is out sick. So we have concocted a plan and it's working. So um, let's start off with prayer. So let's repeat together. I am a child of God and I live in the kingdom of health and abundance. Take that in. Thank you, God. Now, we're going to need lots of help here. So if you'll mind standing and singing songs with us, we'll be eternally grateful.
Welcome to my heaven. Welcome to my home, where we can feel love and safety there. Welcome to my heaven. Journey to my spirit, journey to my soul, a place I feel love and cared for there. Welcome to my heaven. Now is the infinite moment. Now is forever in thee. Alpha and Omega, beginning without end. Peace, love, and courage we send. Welcome to my heaven. Welcome to my home, where we can feel soothed and nurtured there. Welcome to my home. Welcome to my heaven. Welcome to my heaven.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Good morning, everyone. Good to see you all. A little different up here without Brian. We wish him well. My name is Paul Kenny. I'll be your platform person today, filling in for Susan Francis. Do we have any visitors? I think I know everybody. Anybody new? Okay. Thank you. Prayer chaplains are here. They'll pray with you after service. We do pray every evening at 8 p.m. So from wherever you are, if you remember, just say a little prayer. The October affirmation is, I enthusiastically accept my good and go forward to achieve my purpose. If anybody needs prayer after this service, I'm a prayer chaplain. I think I'm the only. Oh, Naomi just walked in. Welcome, Naomi. So you got two of us. So our next focus financially is on roof repair. So if you feel moved to donate for that, please do. We already have some donations coming in. And if you do that, you can just mark that somehow, either on the envelope or on your check, that's what that's for. Reverend Bob's lesson is mystical tools. And I do have a story to tell, because Susan always tells stories. This one is a true story about our power, our electrical power here at church. So yesterday, probably around 1 o'clock, it looked like it may be midnight tonight, which wasn't too encouraging. So I called, and the information I received was maybe Tuesday. at the earliest, and could be as late as Friday. And I said, next week? You know? And so the prayer chaplains were all praying. They were doing that, and just a lot of prayer coming from all over. We have people online all over the country. We had people praying up in New Jersey for our power to come back on, which was pretty cool. And Susan Francis got the global because she's praying from a cruise ship in the Mediterranean for our power to come back on. And so Bob and I were trying to figure out what we could do without it, you know, and it was quite a conversation. And all of a sudden I hear this at my door. And so we end our conversation. I go and I see yellow flashing lights out in front of my house. And I open the door and there's a utility worker there. And he says, I'm just checking to make sure that you have your electricity. I said, well, I do. I've actually never lost it. And he said, is there anything else I can do for you? Yeah. And I said, yes, as a matter of fact, there is. So I followed him out to his truck and he got out his clipboard. He wrote down the address of the church. He wasn't sure what he could do, but he said, I will definitely look into it. And I said, by the way, where are you from? And he said, Canada, Nova Scotia. I said, you came all the way down here from Nova Scotia to help us out with power? And he nodded his head. And then he asked me a little bit about where the church was located and how long it would take to drive there. And he said, I don't know if I can leave the section that I'm in, but if I can get there, I will. And off he went. An hour later, Linda texted me that the power's on. So at least one person, maybe two this morning, asked me if he had wings. And I said, I didn't see any, but he was incredibly polite, very nice, very encouraging type of individual. So I thought you'd all enjoy that story. So when I get back, I'll start the next song, okay?
We have to wait for the sound man. So just settle in.
I'm looking for a sacred space, one full of safety and grace, one feeling like my own place, and it's here, 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 and it's here. I'm living in a sacred space, one full of safety and grace, one feeling like God's own place, and it's here, 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 and it's here. I'm looking for a sacred space, one full of safety and grace, one feeling like my own place, and it's here, 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 and it's here. I'm living in a sacred space, one full of safety and grace, one feeling like God's own place, and it's here, 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 and it's here.
Ah, that was wonderful. And I want to give special kudos to our music department. We have Carol, Carolyn, and Tinker. And then we have the ones that are absent but here. Yeah, Brian called yesterday, and for the first time in 15 years, he's decided to be sick. So, and he came up with the idea we could use his songs from the CD in the, in the bookstore. And Paul worked on getting everything together. The rest of the music department is here to make sure that it's supportive and everything looks good, and we have music. Isn't it wonderful? How'd you do? All of you at home, all of you who are here. I told you to be safe. You followed instructions, right? I hope you had a relatively acceptable experience as the hurricane came through. I realize there were those who had it really fairly rough. We have friends who were hoping to stay in Sarasota. They live about 8 blocks from the water. And we got the call from them that said, well, there's mandatory evacuation. I'm going to have to pack up Mom and get her out of here. It's quite an ordeal because it was oxygen and all that. But they did. They hit the road. They said, I'm really worried about the traffic on the road. And we checked. There was none. Everyone had already left. Anyway, I judge all of you did okay. You did well. I hope you all at home did well too. Okay. A bunch of us went without power for a little while. I want to give my special thanks to Duke Power for getting us back up and running, but more than that, I want to give special thanks to all of our spiritual allies, including Paul's Angels, to get us up and running, including the prayer chaplains all working on it. Everybody worked together, and yesterday afternoon late, we ended up with power. Otherwise, you'd all be sitting down front in the dark, and you at home, well, we had a plan for trying to get a really lousy recording, but we thought we could pull it off and download it later. But our spiritual allies are strong, and we are deeply appreciative. So, it's Florida. We just have to weather a hurricane now and then, don't we? That's just life. Today, the topic is mystical tools. Mystical tools. Okay. It's this series on the path of the mystic. You know, we started off with the overall, then we did Jesus as our teacher, establishing the master-disciple relationship last week. This week, we're going to move on to what I call mystical tools, which is tools that we use to work on the invisible level. You function on several different levels at the same time. Yes, you are a physical being, but you are also a spiritual being. And just as you try to negotiate this life by physically doing what you need to do to accomplish whatever it is before you, as a spiritual being, you should be doing something on an invisible level as well as something on a physical level. That's what tools are all about. Mystical tools are just kind of the gimmicks and gadgets of the invisible realm. Doesn't matter which one you use or even how you use it, but that you do combine something from the invisible world with something in the physical world. You don't have to choose between the two. You don't have to either be a spiritual being or a physical being. Because ultimately, at this moment, you are both at the same time. And when you do something on the invisible level at the same time you are trying to accomplish something physically, you create almost a harmonic. You know, that's when you hit a C in this range and a C in that range, and it comes out all that much richer. Well, it empowers your physical life when you combine it with the invisible side, with your spiritual life. Now, I'm going to start off with 3 scriptures, each of which illustrates a spiritual tool, a mystical tool. And the first one's the obvious one, prayer. In Luke 18:1, Jesus spoke to them a parable that they should pray always and not get weary. Okay. As I've said in the past, I love it when he tells you right up front what the parable means. Then you don't have to guess. That you should pray always, not get weary. This was that parable where the widow comes in and tells the judge that she wants her justice. And he says, I'm not interested. And she comes in every day until finally he says, okay, just leave me alone. I'll do it. And he said, and Jesus ends it by saying, and if the unjust judge was willing to do that, how much more will your heavenly Father be willing to answer those who call on him day and night? Prayer. It's that invisible mystical tool that adds a whole new dimension to your physical life. In fact, and let's point out, the parable makes it very clear, you don't just do it once and say, oh, it worked or it didn't work. You continue to work on this invisible level until it takes physical form in your life. In a very real sense, all the rest of the spiritual tools I'm going to go through are just a different and sometimes even bizarre form of prayer. Because prayer is working with the invisible side of life. In Romans 13:12, Paul writes, let us put on the armor of light. The armor of light. Light is a phenomenal mystical tool. You are working with a light that you can only really see on spiritual levels. And occasionally your eyes lift high enough that you begin to perceive it. But put on the armor of light. Surround yourself in light for protection. Surround others in light for protection. Use light as your tool in the invisible realms. In Matthew 17:20, if there is faith in you, even as a grain of mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move away from here, and it will move away, and nothing would prevail over you. Faith is another invisible tool. Do you know things will work out? Or are you not so sure? Faith is what you are willing to know with certainty, such that no matter what happens in your life around you, it will not shake your faith. Notice he says, and if you've got faith in you, you'll say to the mountain, move. Notice he's talking about a physical experience. He's also talking about speaking physically. But he's talking about it combined with this spiritual energy that faith taps into, and how powerful that can become in your life. So once again, faith is another one of those mystical tools, something you apply on an invisible level and then see results in the physical world around you. So I'm just going to go through 5 basic types of mystical tools that we can employ in our life. This is not meant by any means to become a complete list. There must be millions of ways you can pour spiritual energies into your physical life. But just a smattering to kind of show you how it can be done, to illustrate it. And the first we're going to start with is simple prayer. Prayer. Pray. Pray always. Don't get faint. Don't get tired of it. Keep at it. Keep asking God to take command in this situation. If you want to break prayer down, we can break it down into some steps. And the first is set your intent. Where do you intend to be? Intent can be amazingly powerful. If you attach your intent, then turn it over to God in prayer. Put it in God's hands. Declare that it is so. That's the affirmation, right? It is fulfilled. You declare it is fulfilled, and then you apply faith. Faith knows this has to be. It knows it's already happening on the spiritual, creative levels. I am just waiting to see it take form in my physical life. And I know it will. I know it'll come. It's that knowing. And then you continue daily for as long as it takes. That's prayer, remember? The parable of the widow. You just keep at it until finally the universe responds. The universe has been responding all along, but on higher levels, till finally it congeals into your physical world. There is one last phase to prayer. Don't pray for one thing and live a life that illustrates something else entirely. Do physically whatever you can. People's, the old story of the guy, the minister on top of the roof says, God's going to save me, right? And, the rowboat comes by, the rowboat comes by, the motorboat comes by, and then the helicopter. He said, no, God's going to take me. And sometimes that's the way we treat our prayers. God, you got to take care of this. In the end, you have to physically do everything that you can, and you have to be willing to explore every opportunity that's offered. Well, I learned this one the hard way in the beginning. I was in ministerial school. I had really wrenched my back badly before I ever arrived out there. So I went to a chiropractor for like 6 months. It kept going out by the time I got back in the car. So it wasn't like I was getting anywhere. But I had made up my mind. I was going to be a Unity minister, so God was going to heal me. And somehow I had it in my mind. That was like God plucking the minister off the top of the roof of the church. You know, I wasn't going to depend on any outer thing. You have to coordinate your outer life with your inner realization. So here I am, I've gone months, and my girlfriend at the time said, you need to go see my chiropractor. She does something different than I've ever seen anyone else. She developed her own technique, and she's really quite good, and she could help you. And I said, yeah, no, God's going to heal me, which didn't happen. And finally, I went to her, said, okay, give me your chiropractor's name. I'll go try her. Dr. Betty. But evidently she had worked with crippled children for years, had developed a technique that no one else in the world used. She kicked the table and somehow did something while I was rolling back and forth, but I couldn't feel it. But basically, she healed me in one session. When I was ready to accept the opportunities that were offered me, rather than demand that God make it fit my concept of how it ought to be. This one on mystical tools, we're really talking about coordinating your outer world and your inner world, not keeping this great divide between the two, but actually merging them. So let's go to the second set of tools. This one gets a little more abstract, a little more mystical, you might say. It consists of outer tools that we can pour spiritual energies into. Things you do in an outer way that you can pour spiritual energies into. You literally can pour spiritual energies into anything, but I'm going to pick up 3 things that are often taught in mystical practices. And the first is the voice. Your voice can literally convey the spiritual energies that you need to convey, not just the physical ones. You can pour into your voice power, comfort, healing, joy, and love. You say, oh, so you're just pitching your voice. No, that's the physical side of it. Physically, yeah, pitch your voice a little different. But spiritually, mystically, you are feeling the energy inside and pouring it into your voice as you speak it. And you learn to change the vibration of a room with your voice. You can be excited, or you can truly be at peace. You can convey the energies directly into the words you speak. But you got to feel it to project it. You feel the energy and then you speak from that energy. You can do the same thing with your gaze. You can radiate spiritual energies through your eyes. You can radiate love, healing, the fierce intensity of protection. You have to feel it inside And with your eyes, concentrate on where you're sending this energy or seeing this energy. And of course, there's the voice, the gaze, and there's also the breath. If you go very far within different mystical training, you'll find the breath is employed over and over. God breathed the breath of life into man, and we can breathe life and spiritual energies into the world around us. We can do it on the breath. And when you do, you're hitting a harmonic. You are doing something that is totally invisible and totally spiritual. But with it, you are coordinating one of the most physical things you have, your breath. And it is amazingly symbolic of coordinating your physical world with your spiritual world. And so it is in this case, just one of many, many spiritual practices would be, as you breathe in, to breathe the love of God into your heart. And as you breathe out, to radiate into all the world around you. God's love descending into your heart, God's love radiating through you as a blessing to all the world around you. Try that as your meditation for a while. And you'll see it'll begin to have an effect upon your outer life. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to something that we're all a little more familiar with. Another type of mystical tool is to use imagination to mold spiritual substance. If you get into the basic spiritual teaching of the picture prayer, using imagination, using an image as our prayer, you find that the reason we do this is that we are taking spiritual substance, this unformed scatter, I tend to see it as sparkles of light everywhere, but in any case, permeating this physical world is also unformed spiritual substance, which thought gives form to, and a particularly powerful form of thought is imagination, to image something so. You can have the static image, holding that image of my body healthy and strong. You can have the fluid image, taking that healthy, strong body and playing basketball. It becomes the movie versus the static picture. But both of them, you need to understand, are working with the invisible realms. We are giving form in mind, which is more powerful than you realize. We are giving form in mind. To our prayer. I mean, that's what a treasure map is, right? It's a static picture. You put on, some are words, some are pictures, and none of it is probably going to be exactly like what you're going to draw into your life, but it is symbolic of it. They are the symbols, and those symbols are filled with expectation and faith. So, you carry this whole imagination thing a step further. by realizing you are creating thought forms. These are these images that you hold in your mind. They have molded the unformed into form. You say, but I can't see it. It's still on the invisible level. Absolutely. The next step, you were made in God's image, and if God can breathe life into you, you can breathe life into your creations also. So, you breathe life into this image. And you send it forth to create itself in your life. You turn it loose. Say, go do your thing. I've created the image. I give it to the universe. Away we go. Now, the beauty of this level is that you can use any picture you like and put intent into it. So, your prayer. It's one thing to just intellectually say, I'd like to see this happen in my life, God. It's another to pour life into that, the image of that prayer fulfilled. Pour your energy into it. Pour your intent into it. Pour your being into it. And you give it life, and it runs around on the invisible levels and draws together all kinds of circumstances until it can be, until suddenly it seems to take form in your life. Often by the most seemingly natural means. But it took things kind of being set up. On an invisible level, that's what's been happening. So, you're going to create your prayer image. And you're going to pour into it life, magnetic attraction, protection, joy, love. Sometimes you just want to create an image that is symbolic of what you're trying to accomplish. Just let it be a symbol. Can you throw up a wall to keep negative energy out? You can throw up a wall. No, it doesn't penetrate. You can, I know someone who felt they were constantly being judged by people who were around them in the neighborhood they were living in. And so she created this image of mirrors all around the property. And things changed. Just reflecting all that negative judgment back. It's just a symbol. That's all it is. And you can create a symbol of your prayer. Paul had a pretty good symbol show up at his front door, right? Maybe there were no wings, but it sure was at least symbolic that the angels were moving. So you can, in your mind, image turning your prayer over to an angel. The truth is, you're probably doing that. But you can create the image of it and pour energy into this image. I once had a picture of dragons circling this fairy-type being in the center, and the title at the bottom was Protector. I went, oh. And so my imagination kind of got carried away with the idea that you could have this invisible dragon circling around you constantly to protect you. And the intent I would put into this when I created a dragon was that anything that was negative, the dragon fire burned. It could not get through. And yet anything that was positive could get through totally. You can put intent into anything. We're dealing with the unlimited invisible realms. You can do anything you want with it. But for an outer physical being, giving it a visual aspect can often make it seem a little more tangible in our lives. You want to know you handed your prayer off to an angel. You want to know there's this invisible dragon circulating around you, and no one can get through to harm you. You want to know that your thought form, giving form to your prayer, is fulfilled. It's doing its work. Okay, if this is too tangible for you, a little too woo-woo, let's head for light. Light is one of the most wonderful mystical tools you have at your disposal. You are the light of the world, so let your light shine before men, that they will see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. I don't believe that every reference to light was abstract and esoteric. I believe if you're going to take anything in the Bible literally, you better take those statements on light literally. So, use light in anything as your spiritual tool. Why? Because imaging light declares that God is there in this situation. That's what seeing light in this. God has always been light, correct? Even to Moses, he was the burning bush, that it was brilliant, it was light, but it didn't consume the bush. And everybody I know who had an encounter with God in meditation, the whole place lights up. So visualize this light. Put on the armor of light, as Paul suggested. Every morning get up and surround yourself in the light of God. Know that the light of God is all around you and protecting you, no matter what you go through. You can do this for anyone else too. Surround anything or anyone in light. You would surround them in light to give protection, but you would also surround them in light to send love, and surround them in light to convey healing, or simply to convey comfort. Surround them in light. Because really, you're surrounding them in the knowledge that God is there with them when you're seeing the light. And the fifth category gets very, very abstract. And yet, in the end, a concentration on these abstract concepts, you'll see a big change in your life. It's not as direct, but it's even more overall. Tap into your divine inheritance of divine ideas to awaken your spiritual resources in any area of your life. When my Unity training first explained to me your divine ideas, your divine inheritance are divine ideas, I went, well, darn, I wanted something more tangible. I didn't just want some ideas. But the point here is a divine idea, the idea that God is fully expressing through your life as abundance, through your body as perfect life, through you as joy, love, divine order, power, the idea that divine possibilities are opening to you. These are all divine ideas that as we immerse ourselves in these ideas and make them more and more of our consciousness, outer life changes for the better. Literally, your outer life begins to respond. So maybe you just embrace God as source, abundance. I live in the midst of abundance. And maybe physically you're not in a situation where that seems to be the case. But if you can immerse your consciousness in this enough, you will know you are taken care of. And slowly but surely, even your outer life will change. Your divine inheritance is not one something that can be used up. Remember the old adage? If you give a man a fish, you feed him for one day. If you teach him to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. If you give a man the answer to this prayer, it satisfies him for the moment. But if you give him the realization that God is my source, and I truly, in spite of appearances, I know I live in the midst of abundance, that takes care of you for life. So these tools, abstract as they are even more powerful because they are so abstract. So you say divine ideas. Well, yep, abundance, perfect life, joy, love, divine order, power, divine possibilities. Yeah, those are all divine ideas. But if you want something that makes them very concise, you pick up Charles Fillmore's book, The 12 Powers, and you concentrate on them one at a time. Each of our spiritual powers in this book is connected to a disciple. Peter to faith, John to love, etc., etc. But take on these spiritual qualities and concentrate on them. Faith, steadfast endurance, clear judgment, love, power, imagination, understanding, will, divine order, enthusiasm or intensity, release in order to create purity, releasing all that needs to be released, and perfect life. You know, I remember a long time ago, someone said, you know, the strangest things are starting to happen. Weird things, good stuff, but it's all erupting in my life, and I'm not sure. And someone speaking with her said, have you done anything different? She says, no, not really. I'm studying 12 Powers of Man, and I'm concentrating on that right now. She said, that's it. That'll do it every time. No telling what all you can stir up on the higher levels when you give your concentration to 12 Powers of Man. So here we go. What did I do? I talked about prayer. Then I said prayer can take unusual forms. You can use the voice, the gaze, the breath, etc. You can use imagination to mold spiritual substance. You can use light to surround things and know God is there. Or you can just tap into the divine ideas, the truths that your soul knows. That's just a few. There's an unlimited number of ways that the invisible can be channeled into the visible, into the physical, the spiritual channeled into your physical life. So this lesson was just to show you a few of the ways you can incorporate invisible spiritual energies into your outer life. There's a whole lot more approaches. But the point is this: there is always something you can do spiritually to assist you in your physical efforts to negotiate through life, negotiate your way through life. Realize right now you are a spiritual being as well as a physical one. And you are most effective in this life, right here in this life, if you're functioning on both levels at the same time. Choose any way you like, but bring the invisible into your visible world. Let's close our eyes. There is one presence and one power in my life and in my world. God, the good, omnipotent. Move into your heart. And realize God's moving through it all. There is nowhere in your experience where God is not. There is one presence and one power in my life. There's one presence and one power in my world. God, the good, omnipotent. And this physical world that I move through is permeated by God. All life, all existence is drawn from the one source, God, the good, omnipotent. So let's breathe the love of God, that wonderful light and love of God, down into your heart. Breathe in and fill your heart. And then realize God is to love the world through your heart and radiate it out as you breathe out. In through the nose, out through the nose. With each breath, we draw more light and love into our hearts and radiate that light and love into all the world around us. It is not I, but the Spirit within that does this work through me. I simply provide the image that allows it to move through me. I no longer block it out. So realizing that God is moving through you, look out at your life and determine what you ask for in prayer. Take a moment to see all the creative forces of the universe surrounding you and moving through this whole world. They're all waiting to move on your prayer. So pray. Now in your mind, image an angel standing there in front of you, ready to take your prayer and carry it into the invisible realms of the universe, the creative realms. And we see the angel moving on into the universe to do its work, to fulfill this prayer. And we feel gratitude. Gratitude for the angel. Gratitude for our prayer fulfilled. Now put on the armor of light. Surround yourself in light. Know that the light of God surrounds you, and all is well. Now reach out to someone else you know of in your life that needs protection, inspiration, love, more joy. That needs to experience more of the goodness of life and surround them in light. And in your mind, know that they receive this blessing. Now surround the whole world in light. It's not something that I or you can do, but it is not I. It is the Spirit moving through me that does this work. So feel the light of God shining through your heart to reach out and envelop the whole world. And finally, just fill your consciousness with this divine idea. God is in charge of my life, and all is well. God is in charge of my life. And all is well. God is in charge of my life. And all is gloriously well. Thank you, God. Thy will be done through each and every one of us. Amen. And with that, I'm going to invite our usher to come forward and our music department to take the stage. For those of you online, you're an extremely important part of this church. And your support is part of what keeps us going. So the way that you give your gift is that at the end of service, you can go to the home page of our website and hit the Donate Now button to use, PayPal or a credit card. You can draw off our address and mail us a check. You can use Zelle as long as you use our email address, which is unityorlando@gmail.com. Or if any of this is unclear to you, you can call the office and she'll talk you through it. Thank you for your support. And thank you all for your physical presence as well as your support, those of you who are here. Let's all take our offering in our hands. Let's bless it together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. Thank you, God. Amen.
Now, everything we've done today is joy songs, so if you know the words, sing along.
Love comes through from heaven now, and it feels like I'm about to shine. Love comes through from heaven now, and it feels like I'm about to shine. And the love that shines through is the love that's linking me to you. Peace comes through from heaven now, and it feels like I'm about to shine. Peace comes through from heaven now, and it feels like I'm about to shine. And the peace that shines through is the peace that's linking me to you. Joy comes through from heaven now, and it feels like I'm about to shine. Joy comes through from heaven now, and it feels like I'm about to shine. And the joy that comes through is the joy that's linking me to you. Light comes through from heaven now, and it feels like I'm about to shine. Light comes through from heaven now, and it feels like I'm about to shine. And the light that shines through is the light that's linking me to you. And the light that shines through is the light that's linking me to you. And the light that shines through is the light that's linking
Ah, that was wonderful.
Well, it's kind of nice having Brian back me up.
Ah, true Carol. I do want to give a special extra round of applause to Carol, Carolyn, and Tinker up front. We're at half-mast and still we got music. Thank you. Okay, thank each of you, whether you're watching at home or here in person, for being Unity Orlando. Thank you for getting through this hurricane season and holding that everyone is safe. Next Sunday, continuing this series on mysticism, now we're going to start getting serious. We're going to talk about exploring the heart. Within world mysticism, Jesus is known as presenting the path of the heart. And he would have agreed with that. So, that's next week. Let's all rise and let's radiate into the world our prayer of protection. Together, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. God bless you all. Have a wonderful week. And